There we go. I'm curious what you're hoping to get out of this class. What the fuck? How to be everywhere. Hmm. Okay, so that's good. So you've got Google search. That is when you type in a phrase and it gives you the sponsored ads up at the top, right? That's Google search. Now here's what the challenge with that. That's so competitive. I mean, between, in the Spokane market, you've got 2,400 realtors, probably 150 or so that are advertising, right, using Google search. So a phrase like homes for sale in Spokane, you about $4 per click. Somebody pull a calculator out. Let's do some math with that real quick. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to get my regular glasses so that I can actually see you. These are my computer glasses. You get old, you can't see shit. So I'll give you the math here in just a moment. $4 a click. Any guesses on? So $4 a click, and any guesses on how many clicks to your website it takes before they actually log in? Most, like our website has a forced login. Once you look at one property, it forces you to log in. So that's called forced registration. Any guesses? It's about 40. Okay, so now take that $4 times 40. Okay, you're at $160 to get one registration. So that's what shows up in, for those of you who are here at Haven, that's what shows up in your FirePoint, right, as a lead. Now, let's talk about this as if we're spending your money. Yeah, hold on. If we're spending your money, right? Let me get to you. If we're spending your money, right? How many registrations does it take that will ultimately lead to a sale? So the average in the United States, and I had in Las Vegas, right? Like, oh my gosh, why do you guys spend so much money to generate that database? We've got a database of 70,000 people who have gone through that process, right? So 1% means that sale cost you what? Just in Google pay-per-clicks. Go 100 times 160. Yeah, 16,000. Profitable? So now, here's some things that you can do, right? You can optimize your landing pages, which is what I've done. That's you guys remember I went to a Google conference. It was $10,000 a day to learn. Okay, so you can optimize that, and I think I get mine for about $2.20, right? Now you can chase your people around like with a bullhorn and a baseball bat, and instead of 1 in 100 conversion, you go 3 in 100, right? But on 100. But pull that calculator out. Go $2.20 times 40 is how much? How much? $88, right? And then multiply that $88 by 30 or 33, right? 29.33. Again, I go back to when people complain about commission split, it's like you don't know what you're talking about, right? Because like it's a competitive market, yes or no? Okay. Meaning that realtors are competing for that business too, right? So here's the thing. I teach a lot of strategies. This is a good strategy if you understand how to build landing pages, if you understand how to use Google pay-per-clicks and all of that. Now, I'm not going to talk about search marketing today, okay? I shifted my budget 10 years ago to more of display advertising, because this is like how many of you have interacted with buyers? They don't care about you. All they care about the house. They don't want to know anything about you, right? I want to use the internet to leverage my ability to be visible in front of consumers consistently. Does that track? So what we're going to talk about today is not search, but rather LSA. You're using local service ads. Yep, okay. Yeah, so that's a whole different animal also, right? What we're going to talk about today is display advertising. Now, here's what I love about display advertising. Okay, this is specifically what I'm talking about. You've visited websites where you have seen a display ad there. Now, there's a way of making sure that your ads show up and follow people, okay, that are in the market to search for homes. There's a way to do that whereby, guess how much that costs me? Any guesses? Zero. Zero. Unless they click on it, right? So you can pay for impressions or you can pay for clicks. I opt to pay for clicks. Now, to do this, the first thing that you're going to have to do is set up a Google AdWords account, okay? And I was just talking to Andre. The great thing about that right now is that you get a $500 ad credit when you spend $500, okay? So, look, I've always said that when the pendulum swings, in other words, when it goes from being a hot market to a more balanced or a cold market, I've always told you, I've always preached to you guys. You've been with me for a while, so you've heard me preach this, right? I've always preached to you guys. That's the time to be highly visible because people are pulling back, okay? I was talking to you guys earlier about Spencer Raskoff, used to be the CEO. Actually, he's a co-founder of Zillow, used to be the CEO as well, right? He and I are pretty good friends, gotten to know him over the years because we were one of their early advertisers. And in fact, we're currently their flex partner here in Spokane and Coeur d'Alene, meaning 78% of consumers use Zillow to search for homes, and 80% of those inquiries come right here into this office or the Coeur d'Alene office, right? Because of a 10-year partnership that we've had with Zillow. Spencer is no longer with Zillow, but this guy is brilliant, right? Harvard MBA. His dad was an accountant for like Aerosmith and Mick Jagger and like all those guys, right? He was a very, very famous accountant for some of these big celebrities. And so Spencer Raskoff, started, I believe it was not Hotwire. He started they built out the very first travel search website, sold that, used the proceeds from that to start Zillow, right? So this guy's loaded, okay? Was just on CNBC last night, and what Spencer did after he got out of Zillow, what Spencer did is he started basically like a hedge fund that invests in technology companies. This is what he announced yesterday on CNBC. The host asked, how is the recession impacting advertising spending, right? Because for all of these web platforms, what drives, like what brings revenue to these tech platforms is what? Ad spend. So Spencer is invested in over 100 technology platforms, of which they derive their income from ad spend. Ad spend in the last 30 days has dropped from 380 million to 85 million, just like that. So in the last 3 to 5 years, I've never seen that. I've never seen it. But it emphasizes my point that when a recession hits, you remember what Cambria taught you? People, when uncertainty hits, what do people do? There's 3 reactions: flight, fright, or freeze, right? Most people freeze. And so what'll happen, and why this is such an opportune time for those who are prepared for a recession, is if you're visible, right, most of our competitors in any market, right, most of our competitors will pull back. I've put in reserves for years. My intention is to double down. I'll double down during a recessionary period so that we're even more visible in a vacuum. So you're going to find like Facebook all of a sudden is reaching out to me to say, hey, we want to give you a dedicated ad rep, right? Google is reaching out to me, hey, we've got a dedicated ad rep for you. Like, it's okay, I've already bypassed all of them. I work with a Google coach that spends about $1 billion a month for his clients, right? So I'm not going to work with a Google employee. I'm going to work with someone that actually specializes in how to come up at the top of the rankings, okay? So speaking of that, let me show you, I don't know if you can see these results very clearly, but I'm going to show you how to build ad sizes like this. Now, we're not going to do this in the classroom today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you access to a training page within our website that has about a 25-minute video that walks you through how to do everything step by step, because the first thing you got to do is create your ads, okay? I'll go over a little bit about what to look for in an ad, but also the landing page that I send you to will give you specific step-by-step instructions and even like what instructions to give your designer, okay? So these ad formats look like this, okay? So that's 300 by 600, that's like 496 by 190. All of these are gonna be laid out for you in exactly how to do, right, these sizes. But here's what you want. The biggest thing that you want is your image. The mistake that a lot of people make with their advertising is they try to create an instant call to action. You just don't have enough space to do that, okay? And that's the mistake that most realtors make is they're sign up for this list or buy now or they try to promote themselves. All you're trying to do is what's called so I'll have people tell me that do a campaign like this, right? They'll do a campaign and they'll let it run for 2 or 3 months. And then they'll go, yeah, I'm not getting any return on that. Yeah, you're not gonna. You are not going to, I mean, I don't know if you guys can see the amount of, this is one of 12 campaigns I've got going, right? So this campaign goes to consumers, right? You deserve an agent that has your best interest at heart. This is one of 12 campaigns that I have running in just display ads, right? So I have campaigns in YouTube ads. In other words, when someone lands on our site and it lands on a page that's related to selling their home, then I run YouTube ads to that audience that is from, about a dozen of our sellers talking about the experience they've had working with agents at Haven, right? So I just have that on a loop. If they visited our site, it's called remarketing, right? So I have that campaign. I've got about 4 campaigns that I run in that. I have about 22 search campaigns, right? And then this is one of 12 display campaigns, and this is just a generic. This is run against anybody, which I'll teach you guys how to do. This is run against anybody who searched for homes in Spokane County or Kootenai County. Anybody that does any kind of search that's searching for homes, uses Zillow, or it's just a generic, right? And so I've set this where they will see these ads 3 to 5 times a day. The average consumer, so here's an interesting story. When we're networking or we're out with a group of friends and we meet somebody new and they say, well, what do you do? And I say, well, we're real estate. Oh, really? What company? I very rarely let them in on that. I'm the owner. Well, really, with what company? If I tell them our name and they kind of give me a blank stare, I know they're not actively searching for real estate. If they go, oh, yeah, I've seen your name, I ask them this question: what do you prefer to use, Zillow or Realtor.com? And they go, what? How do you know I'm using Zillow, right? I'm like, well, because 78% of consumers use Zillow to search for homes, and if you've searched on Zillow, you've seen our ads. So I know that if they say, oh yeah, I've heard the name, I know that it's because of our display ads, right? Now, I don't work with clients. So why would I do that, right? I do that so that when you guys answer an incoming call, and you say, yeah, I'd love to show you that house, they know who we are. There's a sense of trust there, right? All of our YouTube ads end with that we're the highest rated firm in the region, right? So the point that I'm trying to make is this is all you can derive from that kind of marketing. You use it as a touch point. You guys remember how many touches it takes to move the needle in favor of a consumer working with you? 68. Yep, 68, okay? So what you're doing is you're using these kinds of ads. You're using these ads as, just don't do it, right? This is used in conjunction with, for example, within the next 30 to 60 days, I'm going to do a blogging class, right? Writing articles. It's so relevant right now because as people are facing uncertainty, what are they doing a lot of? Research. Yeah, exactly. Googling, okay? Now, what the blogging class will do is, especially for those of you who have actually built out your own website, right? It doesn't do any good if you're only using the company branded website. Because you got to house it somewhere. Now, what some people do is they just put their blog or what have you on Facebook. That's okay, but you can accomplish so much more if you do this. On Facebook, Insta, this is what I do. Insta and LinkedIn. Okay? You do a post. This is image, right? And then you've got a little bit of long copy. Not all of it, just a little bit. And if they want to continue reading, you guys see this called clickbait, right? You guys see this when you're using Facebook or Instagram, okay? When they click, takes them to your website. Okay? So this is what I'm going to teach in the blogging class. Okay? What's the best audience for you to generate right now? What type of audience? You've got buyers, you've got sellers. What's the better audience to market to? Why? See, you guys have never been in a balanced market. Most of you. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. Oh, hey, Chad. Rob Henry. Chad, how long have you been in real estate? 2.5 years. Emily? 1.5 years. Okay, I know you 2, you 3. So you guys have never even experienced a balanced market. A balanced market is how many months of inventory? Okay? So the info I'm going to share with you is for a balanced market. In a balanced market, in terms of your time, you're going to spend about 40 hours with a buyer. You guys are like, what? Okay? You're going to spend about 8 hours with a seller. Working with sellers is far more leveraged. Now, there's a little bit more expense in terms of, right, you got to spend some marketing dollars. You've got to, pay for photography. You've got to pay for the lockbox. You got to pay for the sign. You've got to, promote the list. You got to do open house. Okay, so there's a little more. It's a little more more expensive, right? However, you're far more leveraged because if you think about in a 40-hour week, you can do 5 of those versus, do you get what I'm saying? So it's much more leveraged. So you're absolutely right. If you're going to be building an audience, you want to build an audience of people who are homeowners who are contemplating selling. Okay? So I'm just getting into this a little bit because to get the wheels turning for you guys. Okay? I'm going to teach you how to make display ads, but that feature you, because you want to become visible to sellers and buyers, right? This will get visible to sellers and buyers, okay? But now, if you think about, so what happens is, you do a blog, you write up a blog that's housed on your website. You post it in various different channels that links them back to here, right? The article's about what? What do you want the article to be about? Not how to sell your house necessarily, although that could be one topic, right? The 3 mistakes homeowners make when preparing their house for sale, right? You want to use a negative title because people are tuned into negative. Everybody says they want to see more positivity on the news. That's bullshit, because the news stations that do positive stories have much less viewers than the ones that have inflammatory stories, right? That's why we're constantly with fear-based stories, okay? Drama. People like drama, okay? So you want articles, you want stories, you want headlines about that would be relevant to homeowners. And the closer you can get, right, the more you're paying attention to the kinds of questions that your potential sellers are asking about selling and then doing articles about that, the more you're going to shorten up that timeline of when someone sees an article, clicks on your site, now sees your ads everywhere, and then eventually reaches out to you. Does that track? Okay. So you can use these display ads for remarketing specifically to sellers. You follow? Specifically to sellers. So that's why I have a dozen different campaigns that are display ads. Does that track? So I have one that's just generic. I have one campaign that's specifically about buyers. I have another campaign that is about marketing. So my job as the broker owner is to recruit agents, to recruit talent, right? So I have ads that say, I don't know, something about, a brokerage that invests in you or something like that, right? And so you can use these for a lot of different reasons, a lot of different ways, right? You can do a campaign like this. You can have your designer create ads that are specific to a house that you're listing. Here's what's great about that, right? Let me go back to, here's what's great about that. How great, so this is impressions, and this is click-through rate, and this is the number of clicks, right? So this ad, can you guys see this? This ad, okay, this ad is a 300 by 600 ad. It's been seen in the last 30 days, it's been seen 212,000 times by consumers. You understand now why when I tell someone what firm we're with, and they go, oh yeah, I know that they've been using Zillow because I have these ads running against anyone who visits Zillow, anyone who visits Realtor.com, anyone who types in homes for sale. I'm going to teach you guys how to do that. Now, some of you guys look at me like, I'm going to teach you guys how to do that. We've got a couple of agents in the room that are outside of our brokerage. This is also being live streamed on my performance coaching YouTube page, right? I give it away. Why do I give it away? I'll teach you step by step the techniques that we've used to build a $500 million a year real estate company, and I'll teach it to you for free. Now, I've spent millions of dollars learning this, but I give it away for free. Why would I do that? There's two reasons. Why would I do that? Give me a guess, Jesse. Come on. Contribution number one. I'm modeling for you guys, right? The worst thing that I hear from a real estate agent, especially when the market gets tough. Well, I'm not driving all the way out to 9 Mile Falls until I find out if they're pre-qualified first, right? What a tool. The number one complaint that consumers have about real estate agents, the number one complaint is that they only care about their commission. The second one is lack of communication. The third one is lack of professionalism, right? So look, as you get better at understanding and asking intelligent questions, calibrated questions, right? You guys should be getting that from Never Split the Difference. As you get better at asking calibrated questions, you can ask questions in such a way that they will reveal whether or not they're pre-qualified without actually having the demeanor of, well, are you pre-qualified, right? That's direct approach. People, it's like this. If you walk into Macy's, or I guess Macy's closed now. If you walk into Nordstrom, right, and someone comes right at you, can I help you find anything? What's your instant knee-jerk response? Because that's the direct approach, right? Consumers want to buy, but they don't want to be sold to. They're wary, right? So too many realtors, because they're focused on what's in it for me, or I don't want to waste my time, are not learning how to ask calibrated questions to get the answers that they're looking for that would guide them in terms of where do I go with this person, right? The other thing that they forget is that a buyer is 12 times more likely to do business with you if they've seen you face to face, right? So I don't know where I was going with all that. But you want to use this as a means of becoming more visible to them, right? Becoming more familiar to them, right? So then you start doing this kind of stuff, and you're now curating an audience of just sellers, because Facebook and Google have made it next to impossible to target to just that market. It used to be, oh my God, these were the glory days. It used to be I could just target homeowners, and now they've made that impossible to do. So the workaround to that is to create, by the way, it's a better way. It's a way better way. Because if I do an article about the 3 mistakes home sellers, there are 3 mistakes home owners make when selling their homes, and does someone click on that it's not at least on their mind to sell? Not really. They keep going, right? How about the 3 best things to do to ensure you maximize your return on your home sale? Right? So you write articles like that, and you're going to curate an audience of people who are in the process of preparing to sell. Now you run your videos, now you run your campaign that's specific to selling to that audience, okay? So, first thing you got to do, write this website down, or this is on our website here. Write that down there, havenrealestategroup.com / Google display ads. Okay, and then I'll show you what you're going to do. This whole process is going to take you about less than an hour, okay? Because the first thing that I want to do is I want to have you create a display campaign that you run only against 1, maybe 2 zip codes. You don't want to run it to the whole Spokane County, okay? Because the thing that real estate agents, the thing that they screw up in their marketing is they dabble. They'll do a little bit, then they try to choose too large of an area, too broad of a term, right? Too big of an area, too broad of a term, and then they do it for 2 months, and that doesn't work. Number one, I'm telling you now, it doesn't work. It's not going to work. What it's going to do is it's going to provide a little bit of a nudge for people who are already contemplating working with you. Does that make sense? So if you go into it with the expectation of, this is not going to all of a sudden have my phone ringing off the hook. I promise you, I've spent millions of dollars on this. It's not going to give you a direct return on investment unless and until you're using it in conjunction with a lot of other visibility. So if you're doing a couple of videos a week talking about the market, right? You can now tag it to people who have visited your website, right? So it's just, it adds to, it's like layering. I always think about advertising like this. It's layering, right? If you start here, if you start way out here, right, with top of mind awareness, but you're not doing the other activities, you're going to get very, very little results. But if you're doing them all in conjunction with each other, then it works really effectively. Does that make sense? So, what you're going to do is, down at the bottom of the page, this is Fiverr. So Fiverr is a site that has like web designers, graphic designers, digital designers, video editors, everything you can possibly imagine. What I've done, when you go to this site, first of all, this is a video that's going to take you step by step in how to create the ads, okay? If you see up here, you've got the ad specs and instruction sheet. So when you choose one, 2, or 3 of these designers to create your ads, right, you can just copy and paste the ad specifications right off of that PDF, okay? I've totally made it easy for you, okay? Now, what you're going to do is you're going to choose one of these, okay? And then you're going to choose that, and then you're going to go ahead and inform them of what ad sizes you want to set for that. You're going to need your professional photo. You're going to need your company logo, right? If you're the project specifications are listed there. Now, in the video, what I instruct you to do is, here's what I do. When I'm looking at creating a project like that, I hire like 8 designers. Right? it's going to run me anywhere from $30 to $45 to $60 a piece. But I'm going to hire 8 of them because I'm going to pick my 2 favorite and just accept the others for their work. Hey, thank you so much, appreciate it. Close out the project, right? At $250, that actually looked similar to that ad with my assets, right? I usually pay for expedited service, which means I'll get it in 24 hours, right? But typically it's 1 to 3 days. So 3 days later, it comes back, they've got a draft. Oh, can you move this a little bit? I like that. Ooh, the logo is this. You know, I need to put my, I gave you the wrong phone number, whatever, okay? So you're going to create that, and then when you've got the ad just exactly the way you want, get back in touch with that designer and say, hey, can you give me a price to create these additional 7 ads? Right? And then negotiate the price, right? So if they charged you $50 to create the ad that you liked, right? Say, well, what would it cost you to create? Now take that concept and now create the other ad sizes, right? Because you're going to get like this. This is exactly how I do it. I do one size, the 300 by 250 right there, right? I do one size, and then I come back to them. Now, here's another tip. If you notice, this is my ad name, right? What I do is the designer of the ad that I like the most, I use that as the image name. So this guy, I don't even know how to say his name, Mustaqim, he's out of India, right? Mustaqim. And then I put the ad size. It was Mustaqim 728 by 90. That way I know if 3 months down the line I want him to make something similar but add this and add that, I go back to the same designer. I look for him on Fiverr. I find that same designer, and so I've had him do lots of stuff. He's done our billboards, he's done banners, he's done digital ads, he's done video intros and outros. He's done lots of stuff for us, but he already has our images, he already has our animated logo, he already has all of that. And so now I just reach out to him and say, hey, give me a quote on this project, and he gives me a quote and tells me his timeline, right? So it's great to build a relationship. I also have virtual assistants. I have a whole team of virtual assistants that work for me in the Philippines, but I have them doing other stuff consistently. Like I have them daily doing posts of our videos. I have them daily doing all kinds of different stuff, right? Downloading our content from team meetings and that kind of thing and creating them into videos, and then I've got one that's, you know, posting them every day like that, right? But these guys, I just use these guys for special projects. Does that make sense? So if you click on that, I've already curated like the best people who do this specifically, because you'll get on there and you'll realize, oh shit, there's like 108,000 different designers. Like, how do I narrow it down and all of that? So I've done that for you, okay? And so then what's going to happen is you're gonna get the final product, download it to a file, right? Like download it to your desktop or what have you. And then you're going to go in after creating your Google AdWords account, and you're going to upload those ads into a campaign. So this video right here walks you through specific step-by-step how to do a campaign. Obviously, we can't do it now because you don't have the display ads up and running, right? But this will get you there. Does that make sense? Any questions on that so far? You guys are like, yeah. So this has been, I mean, if I just take you back to this has been massively, massively useful to us as a firm, right? And I'll show you why. If you come down this page here, 1.4 million impressions. How many homes sell in the Spokane region in a given month? 500-600, right? So that means there's 1,200 buyers or sellers, if you count both sides, about 1,200 buyers or sellers, okay? Impressions mean when they went to KXLY.com to look at their news, or they went to ESPN, or they went to, you know, fill in the blank website, right? When they did that, our ad showed up. Our ad shows up. Now, watch this. So one thing you never want to do, like, I remember one time KXLY reached out to me and they said, hey, we'd like to sell you 50,000 impressions on our website. There's an AdWorks. Is it AdWorks does that too? They reach out to you, hey, be featured in the Liberty Lake area. They're going to charge you about 100 times more what it costs to do it yourself to have you feature it, and they're going to do exactly what I just taught you, right? So they're going to charge you like $300 a month for 10,000 impressions in Liberty Lake. they're doing this right here, right? But here's what I want to show you. So KXLY came to me and said, we'll sell you 50,000 impressions for $1,000 a month, okay? Impressions. Well, I got 1.4 million impressions for 3,300, right? I mean, it's like a total no-brainer. Now, 5,900 click through our site. So here's what I do with that. When they click through to our site, now I start building a relationship with them. And here's how. Because, and like I've taught you guys how to build a website, right? Okay. When they come to my site, the thing I hit them with next is video. Right? So depending on what display ads I've used and where it took them on the site, okay, depending on what display, because I have 12 campaigns, depending on what display ad I used, right? So let's say they're here at the Spokesman, okay, and they see that ad, right? And that ad now takes us to our website. As they traverse through their website, right, people are looking to, they're going to go one of three places. Mostly they go to search at homes, right? So they hit the search. The moment they go to that search page, they're going to be, for the next 540 days, seeing content from Haven about buyers, because they went to the search page, about buyers sharing their experience working with agents, an agent in our office. They're going to see videos of our agents talking about how honored they are to be able to help people through this transition, right? We use the hero's journey. Everybody does, especially real estate agents, holy shit. Everybody does their marketing wrong. Like literally everybody does their marketing wrong. Most real estate agents, their marketing, their videos, their marketing features and showcases who? Themselves. The consumer doesn't give a rat's ass about realtors. As a matter of fact, they consider us below congressmen and women and salespeople and car salespeople, right? Like, look, and we've earned the reputation. Like, we've earned it, okay? What most people do, what most advertisers do is they feature themselves as the hero. And there's not a person on this planet that doesn't want to be the hero in their own life, doesn't want to be the hero in their own story, okay? So if you look at all of our advertising, Jesse, we just did a feature on you, right? It's called Hero's Journey. This is taken from, you want to read this book. Okay, Donald Miller's team studied 200 of the most popular movies ever, because here's the thing, the most valuable commodity, the most valuable thing on the planet is what? Our time. It's the most valuable thing on the planet, okay? And as such, the average human being has an attention span of under 7 seconds. Ironically, a goldfish has an attention span of 8 seconds. So what is it that these 200 blockbusters have in common that would hold people's attention for 2 hours? When our time is the most valuable commodity that we have. And here's what they found. There's a common thread. And that common thread is a hero and a guide. Typically, the star of the movie is what? The big name star is typically the guide. The hero is somebody that we can relate to. Think about the movie Hitch. Marketing, all of our messaging, it features the consumer. In our marketing that features one of our real estate agents, it's the, see if you guys have been paying attention. Okay? The guide is who? The agent, okay? Now, in all of our videos that we do that feature the real estate agent, right? The real estate agent talks about Haven. What is Haven in this role? So you did this, you didn't even know you were doing it. Guide to whom? To the agent. Haven is to the guide to the agent, which makes the agent I'm able to mesh the market. Happy that they chose the brokerage consumers right now. Here's what's meant. I built it out so that it would feed the remarketing from these other areas. It's very expensive, but it's very efficient, right? So watch this. I shared this in our team meeting yesterday, so you guys will remember this. But I'll throw some points in there that maybe you don't remember, or that logins. Look, I don't blame you. They're rusty. After spending the last 5 or 7 years in this kind of market, they're rusty. Now what people really, right, you've got to be able to use some sales skills, asking calibrated questions, right? Listening for both what's said and, more importantly, what's not said, okay? But here's my point about this. Average timeline for a buyer is 13 months. That means if we have a database of 70,000 plus consumers in our database, people who have actively searched for homes, logged in and searched for homes. That means, how many do we have in this portion right here? 35,000. There's 35,000 people in our database who have been marketed to with these ads, that have been marketed to with display ads and with videos for the last 3 to 5 years. That's massive opportunity. So for whoever it was in Vegas that asked me, why the hell would we spend so much money, right, to build a database like that, is because we know that what we're doing is building the relationship. That's what this market is going to transition to, is a relationship market, right? You're going to find that, you know, how many sellers did you talk to and it was like, yeah, they don't really need you. Now sellers need you. They need you to interpret where is the market going. Because remember what we showed yesterday? That pendings that were in the, you know, our current pending went from, what was it, 84% to, what is it now? Under 50. Yeah, is that right at 50, right? That's huge. If that were to happen in the stock market, it would be the lead story all day, every day, if that happened in the stock market, right? Also, what has happened to inventory? Remember what happened to inventory in the Coeur d'Alene market? It went from 0.5 months to 3.5, right? So that's a, what, 300, 400% increase in inventory? So the number of homes that are coming on the market are skyrocketing. The number that are actually getting offers on them are tanking. That's why when you have, and we even have local real estate agents saying, this recession is not like the last recession in 2009, are morons. They're not watching the numbers. They're Pollyanna bullshit, and this is why consumers don't trust us. They're not looking at the numbers. Because look, inflation means it's more expensive to buy your day-to-day household goods, right? For the average American household, that's now $500. It costs them $500 a month more to purchase the same items than it did 2 years ago. $500 more. That means discretionary spending comes down. That means, look, I've been looking at boats for the last 2 or 3 years. I want a very specific kind of boat, very, very specific, and I've been looking at boats for the last 2 years. It's more kind of a hobby. I already have a freaking boat, and it's going to be a big sell to the administration. That's what I call my wife, the administration. It's going to be a big sell to the administration to go, hey, let's get another boat, right? I'm looking for a cabin cruiser, about a 36-foot cabin cruiser. 2 years ago, maybe in a week, maybe 1 or 2 would come across my feed. 2 years ago. Now, it's 10 to 15 a day. So people are getting rid of things that are not an absolute necessity, and they've stopped buying, right? If I'm in the market for a boat, am I going to go to a brand new dealer and buy a brand new boat? Or given the fact that I now have 70 to choose from within a 300-mile radius, I'm going to take a closer look at that and get a deal. So consumer spending is coming down. As consumer spending comes down, and there's not as much demand, companies will do what in response? Layoffs. That's already happening. So layoffs happen, and then what happens to housing? Well, people can't afford their home, so they put it on the market. That's going to have upward inventory. The more inventory there is and the fewer buyers. So these real estate agents that are talking about like, oh, it's not the same, it's not the same. Well, last recession, we had fewer buyers because you couldn't get qualified because of the banking crisis. Now it's interest rates and inflation and layoffs. So the people who are talking about like, we're not going to see home prices come down are morons. I'm sorry, but you don't know what you're talking about. Like, just look at the numbers. We've now enjoyed, in U.S. history, we've now enjoyed, is it 12 or 13 years of a positive economy? That's the longest time period in U.S. history, period. What goes up must come down. Now listen, I'm not sharing this to scare you guys. The reason I'm sharing this with you is because when everyone else is pulling back, because your competitors will pull back. It's already happening. I'm already seeing it, right? When your competitors pull back, I mean, listen, what would you rather be? One of 2,600 realtors who are saying, hey, pick me, or one of 100? Which one's better? So look, now's not the time to be a secret agent. Now's the time to be very active on social media. Now's the time to be posting videos. Now's the time to be posting about the market. Now's the time, because look, what's going to happen is, of the population, this many will still purchase or sell a home. You want to be visible there. So that's where, like, when I post that I'm doing a blogging class, like, have your ass in this seat, right? Because it starts a chain reaction of leverageable events where you'll stay visible and active in front of them. Does that make sense? And this is a great tool. I mean, it's like a baby step. This is a great tool to utilize and learn and master, right? And now here's what you do. I spend 25 to 35% on my marketing, which generates leads and opportunities for our agents, right? I spend 20 to 25. The average company, if the ones that actually do marketing, are anywhere to 10 to 15%. At a bare minimum, you should be at 20. That's just a maintained level, right? So for you guys who are agents in my office, I've always said, take your commission checks and split them in 4. 25% is what you deposit. First of all, you deposit the whole check into your LLC. No one makes eye contact when I say that, okay? You put 25%, you put the whole check in your LLC. 25% of that whole check, that's what you live on, right? So that's what has look, agents who are dabblers that are doing between 3 and 6 deals a month, they're screwing themselves. I mean, they're just literally screwing themselves. And the reason I say that is they're not looking at that commission check. They're looking at that commission check as a whole, right? Let's say it's $10,000. They're looking at, ooh, I made $10,000. They're not treating their business like a business. You didn't make $10,000. If you're treating it like a business and you know your numbers, you made $2,500, right? Well, that changes things for a real estate agent that transitions from employee mindset to entrepreneur mindset, to business owner mindset, right? It transitions things. Because now you go, well, shit, I can't live off of $2,500. Now you're not, the average real estate agent is working about 1.4 hours a day. The average active real estate, right, meaning that's their only job, is working about 1.4 hours a day, right? So all of a sudden when you go, oh shit, that's not a $10,000 check, that's $2,500 to my personal account. By the way, out of that personal account, you're still paying personal taxes off of that, right? So take 50% off of that. I won't go into that. But anyways, 25%, that's personal. What are the others? You know this one. What's the others? Winter reserves. Do you have off months? Yeah. But there's nothing worse than you being stressed out and freaked out about the next commission coming in as you're having dialogue with a consumer, with a buyer who's looking at an inspection report that shows the house is a shit show, right? Eliminate that out of the equation. You do not want to be the party that's the most interested in that transaction closing, right? You want to be the one that has the greatest ability to walk away. It's amazing what happens when you put yourself in that position. It's amazing, right? When I was active in real estate, I could tell a seller's agent, yeah, we're going to have all of this fixed. I could tell a seller's agent that we're going to have all of this fixed. I had no fear whatsoever about whether the transaction went through or not, right? And when they came back with, well, we'll do everything but the air conditioning. Can we give you a credit towards a new air conditioner at closing? And my client was like, I'd have taken the damn thing as is. Do you get what I'm saying? Now you're working for your client, not for your paycheck. You got to have winter reserves. So our recommendation is 25% towards winter reserves, 25% you put aside for taxes, and 25% you spend on marketing and branding yourself, right? So especially for those of you who are on a team, what you're wanting to do is you're wanting to build your visibility. That's why when you watch the video on the instructions, I say pick a zip code or two dependent on your budget. Right? I spend between $1,500 and $2,000 a day on my AdWords account. Okay, but I've got 60 plus agents that I'm feeding opportunities to, right? So I mean, understandably, it's got to be pretty big. But if you're looking at, you're looking at yourself and going, okay, I want to be much more visible to the people that I'm interacting with. The minimum you want to be spending a day is $25. So $25 times 30 is what? $750, right? Now, for some people, that's like build up to it, right? But also be doing the other activities, right? Here's my consternation about real estate agents. Like, this just blows my mind. Mm-hmm. No. You are not. You like, unless you're willing to spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. I was sitting with Greg Schwartz. Greg Schwartz was the COO, Chief Operating Officer at Zillow. And I was sitting in a meeting with him, and somebody asked, like, how much should I be spending with Zillow? At the time, we were spending $80,000 a month. And this gal says, how much should I be spending with Zillow? And she says, I was thinking like $1,000 a month. And that's a big deal for me, she said. Here's what he said. Unless you're willing to spend $5,000 a month, better for you to just throw that money in a blender. At least you have a good story to tell about it, right? And my point being is that there's a certain threshold where you're not gonna get returns unless you're highly visible. Search is like that. It's so competitive. That's what's great about this display marketing. You don't pay unless somebody clicks on it, right? And for the visibility that you get, you saw on mine that 1.4 million impressions. Right? I only pay when they click on it. But even still, they see that face, they see that face, they see that face. To the extent that when I saw a buddy of mine at the concert, right, I ran into a buddy of mine at the concert, he runs up to me and is making fun of me for our ads, right? Hey, let's do that picture, right? He's making fun of me, right? But that's visibility. That's what you want to accomplish. But that's also why you don't want to do it in, I market to Spokane County and Kootenai County. But my budget allows me to have visibility of 3 to 5 times a day. Right? If you did $25 to Spokane County, you're going to be seen like once every 14 days. You're wasting your money, right? So narrow it down to a zip code that you're familiar with or you live in and that you're active in. Narrow it down to that and then grow it out. Yeah, exactly. Grow it out from there, right? And look, if what it is $10 a day, right? How many of you ever bought a new car or newer, and the payment was like, oh man, this is a stretch? You ever had that experience? No one's had that experience. This is the interactive part. No one's ever had that experience? Or did some kind of purchase where it was a stretch, right? Yeah. But over time, you get used to it, right? And so, Cambria, for my wife and I, we literally started with a marketing budget of $150 a month. Now it's over $150,000 a month. But, that timeline took, 8 years, 8, 10 years, okay? And as we've grown, but I'll tell you what flabbergasts me about realtors. One is how many of us are secret agents, right? You got to be visible. The number one thing that someone's going to do before they go out and see you at a home, right? So let's say they call in, or even your neighbor refers you, or what have you. The first thing that they're going to do is they're going to Google you. They're going to do a Google search, right? And because so many agents don't, like I can't tell you how many agents I've researched and like their LinkedIn profile doesn't even have a picture on it, right? Their Realtor.com profile doesn't have a picture or has old information. Their Zillow profile is outdated, right? Their website has broken links. If I'm a consumer and my neighbor has said, oh, you should use Jesse, and I go to a search, no reviews, information's willy wonky on all these websites, like, what's my trust level with him? Low. If I'm a consumer and I go search for Jesse and he's got articles on Facebook, I can see that he's got a website, he's got a YouTube channel, he's got videos out there, I can see that he has reviews, right? I look at all of his varying profiles, and what's my level of confidence? Much higher. We're in the trust and relationship business, but too few real estate agents are willing to put in the work to actually build out a platform that allows people trust, allows people to like take the next step with you, right? That's why this is so important. That's why like what I'm going to teach here in the next couple of months, this blogging class is so important, because as someone searches your name, you're going to show up. Now, it's like Seth Godin. Seth Godin is one of the preeminent marketers in the world. He's written like 70 books. And he says that every single business person should do a blog every single day, even if there was no likelihood whatsoever that anyone would read the blog. Why is that? It forces you to be able to articulate intelligently and elegantly about the business or the market that you're in. It forces you to, right? What you're utilizing is, like, the reason that most people won't do video is fear. Fear of looking bad, fear of not, fear. Fill in the blank, that's why most people won't do video, right? Use that fear. In other words, if you're going to write an article, you're going to do some research, because you don't want to fear sounding like a moron, right? And so what happens is you really start learning the market. You really start articulating, right? As I've had to look at where the market is going and project where the market is going, I can talk about it like that. That's because every Tuesday for our office meeting, I'm sharing with our agents a relevant message to market match for the market right now, right? And so yesterday's meeting was all about, like, look, you cannot look at the information that SAR or CAR, Coeur d'Alene Association of Realtors, is putting out to the marketplace, because those are lagging indicators. That data is 2 months old. And in order to get ahead of the projecting trend lines, you've got to be able to show your seller, no, you cannot list at this price. You're going to miss the market, right? So as such, the fact that I'm sharing a message to market match every week for my agents, I got to do the work. I got to study, right? I got to look at the numbers. I got to look at, if I'm a buyer, if I'm a seller, what's going to be most relevant to me right now. But the problem is that most sellers still think we're in this market here, right? Where 80% of homes plus were pending, or where there's half a month of inventory. Their mindset is there. So here's what'll happen. This is why, like most of my coaches are saying 90% of real estate agents will leave the business within the next 18 months. Here's why. Buyers are pulling back. Like, whoa. Now, doesn't matter. In any kind of economy, people still buy homes, people still sell homes. But who they're going to gravitate to is who's the most visible, who's educating them, who they have a relationship with, and who they feel is the most trustworthy. The number one way of building that is by being visible, even more importantly than that, do videos, right? Be talking about, what you want to be talking about is the questions that your buyers and sellers are asking you right now. Like people say, what do I write articles about? What do I do videos about? I don't know. What are the 2 or 3 most common questions you're getting from buyers or sellers right now? Do videos about that. Do blog content about that, right? Then repurpose that and make sure that I can take one video, right, where I talk about the market and cut it into 6, 7 different videos. And then I have my editors in the Philippines just auto post that on different channels. Do you know what I'm saying? So like all of this stuff is going to become necessary. When I got into the business in 2009, I didn't have the money to market. I mean, I was broke as a joke. And so when I asked my mentor at the time, like, what do I do? It was, you reach out to expired listings, right? And I said, well, give me a framework. Like what? He said, if you reach out to 100, if you talk to 100 people, one of them is going to say, yeah, you know what? We really do need to sell the house. I'm glad you called. Now, 99 of them are going to be pissed, right? And so, but I started sharpening my skills. My intention was to call 100 people a day. Like I just went at it. And that's what this market is right now. It's an action economy. Like the calls aren't going to come into you. You've got to reach out, right? You've got to be visible. That's why I'm so passionate about teaching this stuff, because it works. It's what made me a millionaire. This stuff right here is what made me a millionaire. And it works. And what's where there is so much massive opportunity for you is that 95% of agents won't do it. I asked my mentor at the time, right? I said, okay, cool. I'll call her. What do I mean, there's 20, at that time there were 1,700 realtors. There's 1,700 realtors. I mean, like, aren't they all doing that? Like, what am I going to say? And he goes, first of all, you're going to be shocked. Ask them. When someone says, yeah, I've been getting calls all day. Well, how many people have called you? 12. And so my response was, wait a minute, are you kidding me? Only 12 people have called you today? Sir, there's 1,700 realtors in Spokane. You're telling me only 12 of us are working? You should probably hire one of us. You get what I'm saying? So you just, like, you learn to overcome the objections, but you're not going to do it unless you're taking action, right? And so what I did was call people. My intention was to call 100 people a day because I was going for that one. So that meant 99 rejections, or yeah, call me back in a week. Then what I did, I don't have it, but when they would say, look, we're burnt out right now. We've got the kids coming from the coast to spend 2 weeks with us. We'll revisit after that. I take the one sheet, right? And I had what I call a tickler file. So I had a folder that had 365, right? And what I would do is if they said, so I would say, so would it be appropriate to reach back out to you in 2 weeks? Absolutely. And I would take that one sheet and I would put it, if today was the 5th, right, then I would put it on the 25th with notes on the back of it of what I talked about. Old school. This was old school, right? And then what I would do immediately is I had a set of, this is how broke I was. I had a set of cards, thank you cards, that I bought at the dollar store. You get a pack of 20 thank you cards for $1. And so I would send them a handwritten note with my card. Hey, thanks for taking a moment to talk with me today. Look forward to talking to you in 2 weeks. And I'd send it to them, right? And then 3 days before I called, I'd send them another one. I'd send them a letter, handwritten on the outside. I'd send them a letter and say, hey, I'm really looking forward to talking to you. And I just want to let you know, and I'd have the one sheets of 3 or 4 homes that sold in his neighborhood. I just want to let you know, homes are selling, right? And then I'd call them and I would get that appointment. Or if they said, like the one that said, 12 people have called. Well, you should hire one of us. I'll tell you what. And I'd always be looking on my screen at the pictures of their house. So I'd have something to say, your kitchen is fantastic. It's an incredible backyard. Look, there's no if you're still interested in selling, right? There's no reason why your house wouldn't sell. Let me come out and show you what we do differently. And I'll tell you what, I'll make you this deal. I'll spend 15 minutes showing you how we do things differently. If you're not impressed in that 15 minutes, if you don't feel like that 15 minutes was worth your time, I'll buy you and your wife dinner and a movie ticket. Is that fair? Sure, I mean, you can come out, right? But we're contemplating relisting with our realtor. Let me get this straight. You're contemplating doing what you've already done that didn't get results. I think Einstein had a phrase for that, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, right? All right, I'll say, and I'd make the appointment, right? But I spent, literally, we'd go to the gym at 5 a.m., we'd be home by 7. I spent from 7 to 9 o'clock. I couldn't afford the programs that go in and like Red X will go in and scrape the expired numbers, right? I couldn't afford that, so I literally by hand looked at, well, back then, most realtors would leave the seller's contact information in the agent notes, right? Like call such and such for an appointment, so I would just scrape it right out of there. But I would spend between 7 and 9 o'clock like printing out. At that time, there was 9 months worth of inventory when I got into the business. So at that time, there would be 50, 60, 80 listings a day that would expire, right? And I would call them. Well, here's what happens. And this is what got me passionate about this. This is why I'm sharing with you a little bit of backstory. This is what got me passionate about marketing. What happened is, within about 3 or 4 months, I had so many appointments, and now I've got to service those listings, and now I got to field the questions from potential buyers, and I got to do open house. I like it was cutting into the very activity that got me business to begin with. Does that track? So early on, I realized, this is why I'm so passionate about sharing this with you guys, right? Early on, I realized the only way that I can continue my activity and keep scaling is to use leverage, to use money, to use marketing to drive inbound calls. Because what I was doing is doing outbound calls, right? But especially you guys who went with us to Vegas, as you're discovering, using money, right, or paying the portals is unbelievably expensive. You were here last week or 2 weeks ago when I did the building the website and went on a rant about like, people were like, oh, Zillow is so expensive. Like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. They lost hundreds of millions. What was it? What did I say? Yeah. People piss and moan about their commission and their splits and all. Like, they have no fucking idea how much it costs to generate an incoming call, right? 3-4 years ago, it used to cost us $800 for that phone back there to ring. It was $800. Every time it rang, it was $800. Now that price has gone up. Now, we might have 40, 50 calls a day coming in, like cha-ching, 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 right? And then an agent will come in like, oh, I don't know about this 50-50 split, like. Right? Because here's what when I said earlier, I led with earlier, like the thing I don't get about real estate agents. How many people do you know that are making 100 phone calls a day? Not many. How many do you know that are, any of you guys read Ninja Selling? Okay. Like you can have a database of 200 people and make $200,000 a year, GCI. But you've got to be, there's activities you got to be doing consistently, right? Very few agents will do that. Very few agents will do this. It's why our industry has an 87% failure rate. 87% of agents it used to be 87% of agents are out within 5 years. Then it was 3 years. Now it's 18 months, right? It's just like you gotta, right from the get-go, you've got to treat it like a business. You gotta, the average real estate agent is working 1.4 hours. Like you gotta work in it. There's just no getting around it, right? I was sharing with my daughter the other day, like I realized very young, at 17, I realized I didn't have a silver spoon. I wasn't going to be able to, mom and dad weren't going to pay for anything, right? Came from a very poor family. And I realized, shit, I'm going to have to work. Well, if I'm going to have to work, ideally I should find something that at the very least I enjoy doing, right? Or that pays really good and I enjoy doing, right? First, I think it was pays real good, okay? And then I enjoy doing, okay? And then that's the route that I went, right? And I kept looking at what can I do to grow my skills to make more, right? And I just grew from there. And so I was teaching my kids that, right? And what's great about real estate is there's so many skills that you must develop in order to succeed. But all of them are great skills. The ability to market and sell yourself, is that a great skill? Or sell a service, is that a great skill to have? It's not applicable to just real estate, right? The ability to build trust in relationships, the ability to communicate and draw out of people, asking calibrated questions, mirroring and matching their behavior so that their trust levels elevate. Is that a great skill to learn and master? Like, duh, absolutely, right? So that's the thing that I'm passionate, I love about real estate, is that it literally gives you the ability to sharpen skills that positively enhance so many other areas of your life. So many other areas of your life, right? I love it when I see people get addicted to this, like building a website and doing blogs and all of that, because you see their skills go through the roof real fast, as people are doing blogs. Because what happens is, as you're starting now to look for content to do in blogs and in videos and all of that, in order to produce relevant content, like what people actually give a shit about, you're now listening to what your consumers are talking about. It actually creates, it fires your reticular activating system. In other words, because you're now interested in it and you're looking for content, it's why I have you guys do gratitudes every morning. Because if you're looking for what there is to be grateful for, in that physiological state of mind, you're vastly more likely to see opportunity than at default. Because at default, we're wired to be fearful. We're wired to look for what's wrong. That's why the news plays what's wrong, because that's what gets attention. You follow? So when you're doing blogs and you're looking for video content, you're actually more actively listening and engaging with your prospects, with your consumers, than you were before. That's why Seth Godin says, write a blog every day, even if no one will ever read it, right? Because you're constantly looking for content. You're looking for, you're drawing out of consumer. Well, what concerns you about that? I should write something about that. That's a good topic. I should write something. Because if that consumer is concerned about that, you can bet that there's many, many more like that one. That's what it does for your business, right? And then that consumer, does anybody know how many real estate agents the average buyer is communicating with simultaneously all the way up until closing? You guys should know. 4. Cracks me up when a real estate agent is like, that's my client. Oh, really? Why are they talking to 3 other realtors? Right? You ought to be able to deliver knowledge. You ought to be able to guide, educate, and advocate for your client in such a way they have zero interest in communicating with anyone else. That should be your mission. So that's why you get a property inspection report, right? And then you work it over with your client. They're like, okay, this is what we're going to ask for, right? And then you go and you're typing it up, right? You're typing it up. And then you get that phone call. You get that phone call that's like, so I was thinking we need to change this and we need to add that. And I don't think I want to do that. Why do you think that happens? They're either talking to mom and dad or they're talking to another realtor. Happens all the time, right? The average consumer is because they have a lack of trust and they have a lack of a real authentic connection or a feeling of connection and trust with their real estate agent. So when you're doing, guys, I got to tell you, when you're doing this kind of stuff and you're putting content out there, the trust level between you and the consumer goes just massive. And there's such an opportunity for it right now because most of your competitors are pulling way back. I love it. This time period right now, this 18 to 24 months, will set me up for, there's the retirement that I know I'm going to achieve. I know I'm going to achieve that. It's pretty good retirement. There's a retirement I know I'm going to achieve. Doesn't matter what the markets do. What I'll be able to do as a result of these next 18 to 24 months has me now looking at 80-foot yachts. Forget that 36-footer. I'm looking at 80-foot yachts, right? I mean, listen, I'm not screwing around. I'm looking for an 85-foot yacht that I park in Destin, Florida, and that my wife and I take out for like a month out of the year, and we go travel the Keys and into the Caribbean, right? She's a foodie. She loves going to exotic restaurants and this and that and the other, right? So about 1 month a year, do that, and for the other 11 months, charter the thing out. Pays for itself. I can actually make money on doing the luxury thing that I enjoy doing. You follow? That's what this kind of shit can do. Not just this, but that's what this combined with correction market, because everyone pulls back. So the people who are active and visible stand out because there's a vacuum. That's the opportunity that this market is right now, right? So it's like, no, I don't like doing videos. Oh my God. Do you like being broke? You know what I'm saying? This is the opportunity to stand out because everyone else is pulling back. Any questions, guys? I'm going to end it there, give you guys some time to. This site it's live. So I'll leave it on this site here. That's live. That video is ready to go. I uploaded it this morning so that you guys can go through and do the step-by-steps. But before I leave you, any questions? All right, so tell me this. I'd really love to know this. It's hard doing technical classes because you've got people that are on varying levels of, you've got one person over here that used to be a hacker for NSA, and then you've got someone over here that the last thing they built was their MySpace page, right? I mean, like you've just got varying levels. So I'm curious to hear from you guys, like what did you get out of this time that we've spent together that you actually intend to take action on? That you see as valuable, you actually intend to take action on? Doing this? Yeah, this is good, man. But I'll tell you, so do this, yes. And hopefully that lights a fire to go, ooh, I better go back and finish my website and start, like. Mm-hmm. No. Do this. Do this first. Do this, then, it's like look, there's a lot of people, and I'm guilty of this too. I have to constantly look at this. I am a getting ready to get ready guy. I'm a guy that my preference is that when I'm going down to Vision, all the lights are green so I could just go. I'm the guy, my wife wants to take this, I don't know if you guys saw my Facebook feed. Last year I told her for her birthday, we have a spot at the club on Coeur d'Alene, right? And it's like an RV spot, right? As members, we have an RV spot and a boat slip. And so we've got the boat, but we don't have an RV. And so last year for her birthday, I said, hey, her dad's coming to town. Like, let me get both of you off my hands. And why don't you go look for a trailer? He drives an RV. He's going to be very helpful, right? So they did. And as they're going out the door, she says to me, I just bought a new truck to pull my boat, right? And as she's pulling out, she goes, so what do I need to stay under? Well, I'm thinking in terms of what my truck can handle, right? I have a Super Duty diesel truck. I'm thinking about in terms of what it can handle. So I tell her, just keep it under 35 feet. She goes, yeah, that means nothing to me. I don't know. What's 35 feet? What is that? Is that like here to there? I'm like, what is that? I don't know what that is. And oh my God. Her dad goes, 2 axles, no more than 2 axles. Again, she goes, what are axles? Oh my God. When you're looking at the side of the thing, you should only see 2 wheels, right? Okay. So she goes out and looks. she goes out and looks, and she calls me 2 days later, and she says, all right, I found it. And I go out and look at this thing. It's a triple axle. It's 46 and a half freaking feet. It's a monstrosity. And it's not a trailer, it's a fifth wheel. I don't have a fifth wheel hitch, right? So I go, oh God, I gotta have a conversation with her. And I go, what part of 35 feet and 2 axles was unclear? And she goes, well, I was asking what's my budget. You didn't give me one. So I picked out what I want. So here's my point, right? Like this is me. This is what I gotta grapple with all the time. I see all the hassle of it, right? So like I had to go get a hitch installed on it. I got to get airbags, right? Because my axle can't handle that kind of without some assistance, right? So I got to get airbags on the thing, and so I get the damn thing parked there at the club, and then she says to me, just this weekend, she says, I bought us tickets. She's always wanted to see Goo Goo Dolls. I bought us tickets to Goo Goo Dolls, and I rented their RV space. I'm like, oh my God. Like, do you know how much fucking work it is to move that goddamn thing, right? So I'm going to lecture you about get into action, and I get it. You know what I'm saying? I'm the guy that likes to line things up. That's not ever going to happen. Build out the ads. It's going to take about 3 days for your designer to come back with that first one, right? And I'm going to say hire a few, right? Get going. Hire a few of them, 2 or 3 of them at least, right? That way you're getting different designs. Hire 2 or 3 of them, and then pick one and work with that one and make your changes, and then get your next 7 ads designed off of that first basic design, the 300 by 250, right? In the meantime, tighten up your site. Do you get what I'm saying? But get going on that because you want to use that to drive action. Because I'm with you. I will, fuck it. I'll put stuff off, right? Believe it or not, there's a lot of classes that I'll teach. Like when I finalized the material and that video for this class was at 4 o'clock this morning. Because if I waited until I had all the perfect material together to teach a class, I'd be teaching this class sometime in 2028. You follow? So I schedule it, I advertise it, and then I go, oh shit, people are signing up for it. Well, and that's a lot of why I do it, right? Like I've built 5 2-hour instructional videos on how to build a website, and then I think every year I teach that class about once a year. Every year I'm like, oh, this is awesome. All I got to do is reuse my material from last year. Nope. Because WordPress has gone through 17 iterations or upgrades, and now the best tool to use isn't this design page, but now this design page. This design feature is now cost money, and you could use this one, which doesn't. It all changes, right? It's the same thing with this. I have to wait till a day or two before I teach it because the last time I did a class like this, Google did their Penguin algorithm update the night before. So I wake up in the morning and I'm going through the class and I'm like, okay, oh shit, everything's changed, right? The time before that, I did this class and the platform, the Google AdWords platform, changed to a new platform. So all the material I had for it to show to you guys was all different. But that's the name of the game. So I love it. I love it because here's why I love it. It's the same thing that I share with you guys about doing video. I have a way easier job. You guys have 2,400 competitors in the Spokane market, right? 2,500 competitors, right? I have, between the two markets that we're in, Spokane and Coeur d'Alene, I have 500 competitors between the two markets that are either team leaders, right, that run a team, or brokerage owners. The greatest marketing tool that I can use to attract, because that's what I'm modeling for my agents, is attraction marketing, right? In other words, I'm delivering valuable content, I'm talking about growth, I'm talking about the market on video. I'm modeling for our agents the behavior that I want to see from them. That would be useful for that attraction marketing, right? What most people are doing is interruption or direct marketing. And that's where consumers go, whoa, because the average consumer is getting an average of 2,800 marketing messages a day. So our brain has conditioned itself to ignore marketing. Does that make sense? So attraction, you want to do attraction marketing instead of that trying for that direct marketing. There's a great book called Blue Ocean, Red Ocean. And red ocean is more like, if you think of red ocean, what would cause a red ocean? Like a shark attack, like a shark frenzy, right? That's why I call it red ocean, blue ocean. This is blue ocean. You got to do a little bit of red ocean marketing. Red ocean marketing would be like marketing to someone who's about to buy a home right now, or marketing to someone who's going to sell a home right now, okay? But you want to get out of that trap as quickly as possible. That's what you do to generate business real quickly, right? Blue ocean is getting top of mind awareness for people who aren't even in the phase of buying or selling yet. So that when the moment it clicks that they're going to buy or sell, they start paying attention to your marketing material. That's blue ocean marketing. So what happens is you eliminate that. By the way, that's the most expensive form of marketing. Red ocean. That's why Zillow is expensive. That's why pay-per-click is so expensive, because it's point of sale marketing. You want to get the person that's ready to go right now. But that's also not sustainable, because you're constantly chasing the right now business, right? That's where ninja selling is so beautiful. I mean, it's so brilliant, right? But it takes a system, it takes a strategy, and you can accomplish much of that with blue ocean marketing. Blue ocean marketing means that you're not trying to sell, you're trying to attract. You're not trying to sell, you're trying to educate and advocate, right? So, but the point that I was making about doing video is I hate doing video. I hate the way I look, I hate the way I sound. Half the time, now I've got some big herp on my lip. Half the time I've got some zit on my face. You know, something, it's always something, right? My hair is, I'm losing my hair at an alarming rate, right? All of those things, right? But every time I put my phone out in front of me, and for those of you who have done videos, what happens with your anxiety levels, right? Andre, you've done it. Your anxiety levels go through the roof, right? So how I handle that, if that doesn't happen for me anymore, but how I handle that is I do my gratitudes. I sit down with my journal and I do my gratitudes, because your anxiety level comes from fear. Fear and gratitude can't exist in the same physiological emotional state. It doesn't, it can't. Fear will diminish, okay? So if I'm feeling a lot of fear and anxiety, I'll stop and I'll sit down and I'll write out what I'm grateful for, and I'll really like write it out, right? And then it's like, oh my God, I'm scared of doing a video? What a moron, right? But the other thing that I'll use is I'll use that competition. In other words, just before I hit record, I'll remind myself, I've got 500 competitors that are too much of pussies to do this. And I hit record and I start recording. Scared of their own shadow. They won't put their phone out in front of them and educate and advocate and talk to their potential consumers. That gives me such a massive advantage, right? If you notice a lot of my content now, I don't try to censor myself as much. You know, like I have a sailor's man. One of the biggest compliments I've ever gotten from an agent is she's super, super Christian. And at one point I was like, I'm sorry if I offend you. She said, nah, you don't offend me. And then she posted and tagged me in it. And it said, mouth like a sailor, heart of a saint. Right? It's probably the biggest compliment I've ever gotten from an agent. But if you'll notice in like my last 3 months of content, I don't really censor myself. If I drop an F-bomb or, you know, if I say shit, and I've told my editors, don't bleep it out, just let it go. Because I'm wanting to attract people that are interested in the message, not triggered because they hear a word they don't like. Because if you come to this office, you're going to hear an F-bomb drop out of my mouth. It's just how it is. It's why I prefer to do these classes and not necessarily the clock hour classes. Because clock hour classes, I got to answer to the state, right? And so I have gotten a call from the state. I heard you dropped an F-bomb. I'm like, is it not in the dictionary? Like, but I don't understand. Like, am I limited in to what words I can and can't use in the dictionary? I didn't sign up for that when I became an educator. Is that, could you show me where the policy, or, you know, I got to do that with the state, and it gets old. Any other questions? So you're gonna use this? Outstanding. Outstanding. Make sure you come to the blogging class. It's so good. It's so good. I promise you, if you do the blogging, right, for 2-3 months, I love it because I do that class, and about 3 months later, I'll get a call from someone that's like, "Oh my God, I was sitting there having a conversation with a seller, and this just came out of my mouth." And it was as a result of writing an article like 3 weeks ago. I'm like, I know, right? Because our brains process and store everything. Everything. It's just, it also prioritizes whether or not that information or data is really important. So as you're doing the research and as you're writing about it, you're training your brain that this is important. Then all of a sudden, when you get that question from the seller, right? Well, should I just wait the market out, or whatever the question might be? And holy shit, like you'll find it happen. You're like, oh, I just did a whole shit ton of research about that. Actually, you won't even consciously have that thought because your brain just goes right into that file, pulls it out, and delivers. You're like, oh my God, I just sounded so smart there. Yeah, you sound like a professional. Because that's what professionals do, right? We practice, we research, we work, we practice, we research, we work. So, hope to see you guys. Yeah, it's open. It's a clock hour course with material from the 1970s. That's when it was improved. 80s. That's when it was approved by the state. So I go through like super fast and address what I have to cover the state requirements. And then I go into like really, really effective stuff that we've used over the years that has built a, I've got, see with Google AdWords, when you it's on the other, when you drive someone to your page that's about selling, Google AdWords keeps that person in, you start building an audience. So after you've had 500 unique clicks, you now have a seller audience. Now I can position relevant ads in front of that audience anytime. Anytime. How useful is that in a market like this, right? Like I'm doing videos right now that talks about, like, look, sharing the information that I shared with you, and I'm sharing that with our sellers. Because here's the thing. My agents, there's no one in here that's easily triggerable, so I'll just say it. My agents aren't going to educate them in the same way. They're just not. Maybe one or two will. So I don't leave it to chance. I don't work with clients. But if I can say, have a Carissa go out to the client, right? In other words, after seeing hundreds of our ads and our videos and our clients talking about how happy they were that they worked with us and then blah, 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 right? Seeing our reviews and all of that. Then they call in and Carissa answers the phone. Then they go and they like look up Carissa, right? Oh, okay, seems like she knows what she's doing. Carissa will be astounded at her abilities when she goes out, because she's going to recommend a price, and that price is going to be consistent with this is what we'll sell based on the fact that we now have 30% pendings, right? She's going to, right? She's going to know, okay, because she also has a mentor, and they work out the price, and she's going to make that price recommendation. And then she's going to be shocked when the seller just accepts her price recommendation. She's going to be like, oh my God, I'm so good at this, right? Not realizing that seller has seen literally dozens of message to market match videos talking about what's happening in the current market right now, and that if you are selling, this is where you need to position yourself. If you can ride it out, great, but there's also an opportunity now to sell now, get ahead of the curve, and buy something as more inventory is coming on the market, right? So I'm doing messages like that, not leaving it to chance that our agents will do it. I don't work with clients, so no skin off of my back, right? Even if a call does, every now and then I'll get someone that somehow miraculously figures out how to get my number, and they'll call directly, and then I figure out whoever's on floor time and hand it to them, right? But the reason I'm telling you all this stuff is it works. It works so effectively, right? Here's how effectively it works. This is not to badmouth agents, what I'm about to say, particularly my agents. This is not to badmouth agents. But the average lifetime for an agent at a brokerage is about 3 years. Even ours is a little bit longer, but that's the average, okay? And what happens is, it's the E to P principle, okay? What happens is people will naturally hit the ceiling of their natural skills, and then it gets really frustrating, okay? So, my daughter just got into sales, and she's so excited. Within her first month, she's #1 in sales. And I've had to have this conversation with her. Yes, honey, I want to tell you that what is selling is not your amazing sales capabilities, because you don't have any, right? Here's what's selling: your enthusiasm, your excitement, and your energy. But just like her sales is just like real estate. By the time you've shown that 500th $300,000 house, $400,000 house, there's just not really that much that's exciting to see. When you first get your EQ, you're like, man, I can't believe I get to go into $1 million homes, right? Which when I got into real estate, that was a big deal. Now it's every other home, right? But I get to go into homes. Oh my God. Like, I was so excited to take that journey with my first few clients, okay? That's called E to P. That's called from being entrepreneurial, right? It's new, it's exciting, so much to learn, right? To professional. The professional real estate agent will generate that level of enthusiasm and excitement because they're plugged into how they get to serve their client. And so even though it's not naturally occurring to be exciting for them, they'll generate it. Does that make sense? And so I was explaining to her, like, you've you've got to start to develop that. You got to start learning the skills to be like that now. You've got to generate that enthusiasm, that excitement, because it won't naturally happen. So here's my point where I was talking about the agents that leave in 3 years, right? What happens for a lot of agents is they'll rely on their natural skills. Most real estate agents who do well in their first couple of years, they're naturally able to connect with people. They naturally have the ability to communicate with people. They naturally have a desire to go out and help someone through the process. Then it gets to the grind. And they've got to either develop the skills that it takes to take them through their natural skills, right? Or they burn out, they either leave the business, or they do what a lot of agents do, they'll look for another firm. I need something new, fresh, and exciting. Ooh, they have a better split over there, right? That's what happens, okay? I'm going to share something with you that I've never shared in a public setting. I've shared with our agents, okay? Because of the marketing that we do as a firm, because of the marketing that we do that promotes our agents, that stays visible in front of buyers and sellers, here's what's happened on average, because we've been a brokerage, especially here in Spokane, for long enough. Here's what happens. On average, the 1 year, their last year with our firm, and their next year at another firm, the average is their production drops by 60%. Because of what I just explained there, right? We're softening the market. We're doing that red ocean, blue ocean. We're visible in the market. And then when they start showing buying, this is the stuff that I'm teaching you guys, right? When they start, well, let me check on Zillow. Automatically that starts triggering those ads. They start seeing those ads. They start becoming aware, right? Then we move from awareness to consideration. Now they're considering working with us, right? Then they go on a search and they land on one of our pages, right? And so now they're seeing videos. And then now they go back to Zillow, and because we're a Zillow Flex partner, that call comes back here, Carissa answers it and says, I'd be happy to show you that home, right? If they're smart and they do what we advise them to do, then they take a quick video and they go, hey, Fred and Mary, looking forward to seeing that house with you this afternoon. By the way, if there's anything else that you're looking for, let me know. I'm happy to show you other homes in that area as well. Look forward to seeing you at 3 o'clock. If anything changes, I'm sending you my contact info next, and sends. Right? She's now increased her likelihood that they will do business with her. She's also by 400% increasing the likelihood that they'll actually show up for her appointment, right? Guys, it's little things done consistently just massively moves the needle in favor of that you're going to do business with that person. Little things, right? But most of your competitors won't do it. They just won't do it. So that's what I hope you got out of this. But that's a huge number, right? And that number can work in your favor. If you're doing those things to elevate your brand, to be visible in front of people, then you never have to sell yourself directly in front of the consumer. You've leveraged that already. They start with trust. And what happens is even your people you've never met start to show up. Like, is there a difference between a cold lead that you've never met that person, you go out and show them a house, versus a referral? Is there a big difference in how that relationship goes right from the get-go? What if all of your relationships were more like referrals? Would that increase your joy in this business? Yes or no? Right? This is such a great investment, because more of your clients, because they see you visible online, feel like they're connected with you. It's a curse for me, because I go to like all these different events and people come up to me like they know stories about me. They know about my wife's fifth wheel, right? Like they know shit about me, and I'm like, I'm sorry, where do I know you? Oh, we've never actually met. I'm like, oh, thank God, because I'm almost 50. I can't remember shit, so I didn't want to offend you. And they go, no, we've seen you on the billboards. We heard your radio ads. We see your, oh my God, you pop up in our feed every day, right? That shit works. And I do it like second level. In other words, I don't work with clients. Like I get a dozen or more inquiries that come directly to me that I hand over to I don't work with clients, right? But that's how effective it is. So I hope you guys will utilize it. I really, and I hope that my passion for what an opportunity is right now going through a recession, right? I don't share all that shit to scare you. I really share it so that you see, like, holy shit, there's an opportunity while everybody else is pulling back. If I just double down and charge forward, 3 to 4 months, 3 to 4 months of just doubling down, being visible, doing videos, doing this kind of thing, writing 3 to 4 months. And what'll happen is what would have taken you 2 years to do 3 or 4 years ago, you'll accomplish in 3 or 4 months. That's the opportunity right now. And everybody else will look at you like, and then, you know, my coach talks about 90% of agents will be out of the business within a year. Well, what happens is those of you who have only been in the business for under 2 years, you're now the seasoned, experienced agents that everybody else looks up to. It's fucking awesome, man. Like, seriously, it's fucking awesome. Because it used to be it would take you 8 to 10 years to achieve that, right? But that's the opportunity the recession is. I've literally built this business, I've literally built our entire operations around preparing for a recession. That's why I'm the only weirdo that seems excited on social media about, yay, a recession, right? Because I've been stacking cash for 10 years doing exactly what I preach to our agents about, right? So I'm getting ready to meet with my radio ad rep and go, let's double down. And by the way, I'm not paying the same rate that I paid a year ago because advertisers are pulling out. 30 to 40% of advertisers already in radio are pulling out. So does that mean a better rate or a worse rate for me? Better, yeah. Yeah, so hope you guys got a lot out of that, and I hope to see, send me your ads, like when you get your ads that you like back from Fiverr, send them to me. I'd like to see them. Yeah, and then as always, I don't know if I included on that page. I don't think I included it on that page. If you'd like, I'll put a button down on the bottom if you want to schedule a 20-minute coaching session with me. And like, you know, you got it set up and you want to just have me look over it, I'm happy to do that. Okay? All right, guys. Thanks for your time and attention. I don't know, I haven't scheduled it. But it's on my it's on my training. I mean, I had like 8 events on my training page, and now I'm like, oh, there's only like 2 left. Shit, I got to get in there and schedule out some more. Yeah. What do I have on there? I've got. Ooh, that's a good one too. Ooh. And Tony Robbins is gonna. I've been to his live business. I've been to all of his events, but I've been to his live business mastery one. He's gonna be bringing fire at this one. So normally, if I pay for the event and I bring it here, I just make it available to everyone. Like we had Unleash the Power Within, which is freaking. Unleash the Power Within is exactly what I was talking about with my daughter, right? Naturally, right now, she has a lot of energy and enthusiasm, and she's doing well, so that just validates it even more. But she'll hit a dry spell, or she'll hit where, I mean, she's going on 30 appointments a week, right? And again, it's new and it's exciting and all of that, right? She'll hit a dry spell, and I guarantee you, watch, mark my words, ask me exactly a month from now, how excited is your daughter about her sales job, right? Exactly in about a month, right? Because that'll be 120 appointments. It's about the 100 mark that you start going, where's this appointment at? Oh, fuck, 9 Mile, right? And what'll happen is she'll bring that, oh, fuck, I got to drive out to 9 Mile. She'll bring that attitude with her when she goes out and meets with that client, right? And then the appointment will go so well. And then she'll be like, you know what, I don't know about this, right? And then she goes to her next appointment. She's dragging that shit with her to the next appointment. See the difference? And it happens just like that, right? So Unleash the Power Within teaches you how to bring that energy and that enthusiasm and that excitement at any time on command. It teaches you physiologically how to do that, right? Because I always use the analogy with our agents who are in the dating world. Are you interested in dating somebody with low energy or higher energy, right? And everyone's like, no, not low energy, right? But then that's what we do in the business world. It's what we do with our kids. It's what we do with our spouses, right? I have a ritual that when I come home, I spend a moment. For me, it always happens. I live out in Green Acres. As I'm going up the hill, I start thinking about the father that I'm committed to being. for my kids. I start thinking about the husband I'm committed to being. I start thinking about the neighbor I'm committed to being, right? Like literally, doesn't fucking matter what I feel like, doesn't matter that I've had a long day, doesn't matter that I've just had to fire someone or have a nasty conversation with a client, doesn't matter, right? What matters is in that interaction, how do I say that I show up? So I have a ritual that I go through so that I don't bring all of that negative energy into the house, right? Have you ever walked into the house and you're kind of fake, like you've had a shitty day, but you're like, and you come into the house and like, they feel it, don't they? Because all of a sudden you'll notice like, they're not coming to you asking they're like, I'm gonna let him. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and so that's one of those E to P principles. Like you got to maintain that enthusiasm. You got to do it if you're doing floor time. You got to do it if you're about to do a video, right? That's where that program, Unleash the Power with, my sound guy hates it when I move my microphone. That's why you've got to learn to generate it. And some of that takes, it just takes skills and it takes some practice, right? Because we don't teach our agents to make 100 phone calls a day or dial their database and all of that, because 100 calls a day that go like, you wouldn't want to buy or sell a home, would you? Like you're gonna have to make 1,000 calls. But I promise you, I go back there and make 10 calls, I'm gonna get 2, 3, maybe even 4 appointments. I promise you, right? Because I'm gonna get really connected to what we get to do for our community. In my core, I'm gonna get really connected to, I don't want that person to do business with anybody else, because I'm gonna tell them the real deal. I'm gonna tell them where the market's going. If we get a property inspection report and that house is a shit show, I'm gonna tell them, because I don't need that commission. I don't need any 50 commissions. I don't right? In other words, I want them to work for me. I want them to work with me, because I know I'm the motherfucker that's gonna take care of them. I know when that house closes, they're going to be like, oh my God, thank God I listened to your advice. Right? And so when I reach out to them or they call in, I'm getting right to it. And I'm talking to them with that level of certainty. That's what buyers right now, or sellers, that's what they're looking for. Energy, certainty. They're looking for certainty because they're hearing all kinds of conflicting bullshit in the media. Last night, I didn't mean to. I woke my wife up because I was looking at, I was doing some research, and there was an article that the stock market has already reached its bottom. And I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me, right? And my wife is like, honey, I was sleeping, number one. And number two, they want you to click on the article. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, it's clickbait. It's clickbait, right? Because any moron knows what's coming. Anyone knows what's coming. And so it's like, so-and-so, the owner of this big hedge fund is saying that the market has already reached bottom. Well, now you're going to click through and it's going to be like for commodities, right? Right? It's clickbait. And she was absolutely, I'm like, oh shit, you're right. I'm sorry I woke you up. But start looking at, like, as you go through your social media feed, start looking at the headlines that you're most wanting to click through in your emails, right? Like I get like 1,000 emails a day. Start paying attention to the subject lines that grab you, like the ones that I almost click on. I have in my notes on my phone the headlines that I click on. If I click on a headline or I click on a subject line, I copy it and I put it in my phone. If they grab my attention, right, and I study copywriting, I study with the Harmon Brothers, that, Harmon Brothers charge you $500,000 to script a video. Not to shoot it, to script a video, right? They're the ones that did Squatty Potty, and they've got more viral views on their YouTube channel than anybody else combined, right? But that's what they do. They study headlines, they study clickbait, they study copywriting, they study storytelling, all of that kind of stuff. So become a student of that. Like, start learning, like, what do people click on? I have our agents right now that doing we do a contest of when they do a video, right? If it achieves a certain amount of likes, views, or shares, right? They get to spin the wheel, and we give them $100, something like that, right? But they're starting to realize, like, oh shit, some of my videos get like 4 views or 4 likes, right? Yeah, that's good. That means your content sucked. That's okay, because you can learn to create better content. You got to start somewhere. You know what I mean? No one's going to be Lance Armstrong the first time they get on a bike. You gotta, you gotta start somewhere, get some rhythm, get some activity. But you get good at it. Holy shit! Woo! You get good at it, and game over for your competition. So, all right, guys, thanks for attending. I'll let you go. I thought I was only going to go for an hour. Can you believe that?